Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Katarzyna Vernet, and I'm from the 𝗏𝐃𝐙 𝐀𝐿 Academy of Music in Kraków. The topic of my lecture will be Ignacy Friedman, a sketch of the artist's portrait. Short biography. Ignacy Friedman, a Polish pianist, composer and pedagogue, was born on February 13, 1882 in Kraków. His mother, being superstitious about the number 13, gave February 14th as his birthday. He began his music education as a young boy under the guidance of his father, a violinist and clarinetist in a theater orchestra. Later, he was taught piano by Flora Grzywińska, an outstanding Kraków pedagogue, who cared for Friedman like a son and ensured his comprehensive education. At the age of 14, he made his debut in Kraków at a military orchestra concert. After this concert, reviews stated, Friedman has an advantage over others in octave technique, but his finger technique is shallow. He skips all the details that depend on finger strength, but help achieve a plastic and direct interpretation. At the age of 18, in 1900, he became interested in philosophy, history, and aesthetics, attending lectures at the University of Leipzig, as well as opera and chamber music. His composition teacher at the time, Hugo Riemann, revealed to him the secrets of compositional technique in a free and unbiased manner. He analyzed the works of Bach, Beethoven, and Brahms with him. Thanks to his professor's intervention, he could attend concerts at the local Philharmonic Hall for free every day. At the age of 19, he became a student of Theodor Leschetizky's class in Vienna and a student of musicology at the University of Vienna. He enriched his interests with various fields of study, but being arrogant, like most teenagers, he quickly experienced criticism from Leschetizky, who stated that he played in a way that he could play much better. To support himself, he took a job as a copyist, which influenced his later commitment to interpreting music faithfully to the musical notation. He suffered poverty during this time, barely making ends meet. His earnings from work only allowed him to pay bills, but not to feed himself, which resulted in his most frequent meal being green peas. One day, while putting on his coat after a piano lesson, he found an envelope with money in his pocket. Ashamed of the mistake, he quickly returned the envelope to Professor Leschetizky, thinking that some student had accidentally paid for the lesson by putting money in the wrong coat pocket. However, it turned out that Professor Leschetizky himself had put the money there, providing the entire necessary amount for tuition fees. The following year, at the age of 20, Ignacy began his dream studies with his master Leschetizky. Friedman also had the opportunity to listen to Paderewski during a concert, where he performed Beethoven's Fifth Concerto. He later recalled this experience as one of the most beautiful moments of his life. The culmination of his collaboration with Leschetizky was a performance at the age of 22 in Vienna, during which he performed piano concertos in D minor by Brahms, Tchaikovsky's B-flat minor, and Liszt's E-flat major, achieving unimaginable success. This concert was preceded by a performance in Kraków, where, in addition to Tchaikovsky's B-flat minor concerto, Liszt's E-flat major concerto, he performed also Władysław Żeleński's E-flat major concerto, dedicated to him. The Viennese press published very favorable reviews of that event, which were later reprinted in newspapers from Poznań, Kraków, and Berlin. They wrote, his playing is characterized by originality, which can be found in everything he does, as well as refinement, exquisite sensitivity, instinctive rhythm. Moreover, he seems to be an energetic pianist, capable of developing his playing with explosive orchestra sonority. Friedman embarked on his first journey to Germany and Romania, but after 5 years of intensive concert activity, at the age of 27, he married his student, a Russian noblewoman, Maja von Szydlowski, in Berlin. Ignacy, as a citizen of the world, traveled extensively. His professor, 𝗤𝐃𝐙 constantly supported him, highly valuing him. Also due to the fact that, allegedly, he could recognize the character of students by the way they played. He also endowed Friedman with letters of recommendation to influential musicians who could provide him with concerts. In 1910, the Friedmans welcomed their firstborn only child, daughter Lydia. After the birth of his daughter, Friedman tried to stabilize his private life, becoming the owner of apartments in European cities such as Berlin, Copenhagen, Oslo, and Lugano in Italy, where his daughter Lydia Walder permanently settled. As a curiosity, I will add that in Berlin there is still a plaque commemorating this event on the facade of the house where he lived. He also sometimes stayed with his parents in Kraków. In 1939, at the age of 57, just before the outbreak of World War II, he left Europe, taking advantage of an invitation to tour Australia, where he remained for the rest of his days. 4 years later, he stopped performing concerts due to progressive loss of strength in his left hand. 5 years later, at the age of 65, on January the 26th, 1948, in Sydney, Ignacy Friedman died as a result of post-surgery complications.
Ignacy Friedman prywatnie.
Ignacy Friedman as a private person. His daughter Lydia recalled, "My father never spoke ill of any of his colleagues. He rarely got upset. He befriended Rachmaninoff, whom he paid for moving to Copenhagen. He also befriended Busoni, Rosenthal, and Cassels. He rarely confided in others. However, one day he allowed himself to express a reflection to his colleague and accompanist that he suffered from loneliness, that while others could surround themselves with the company of many soloists, he at best could exchange a few words during a concert tour with a randomly encountered piano tuner."
Ignacy Friedman.
Ignacy Friedman, the pianist. Friedman played better than today's pianists. As a strong individuality, he was a completely unique phenomenon. Once you heard him, it was impossible to forget the nature of his playing, wrote Roman Jasiński, the long-time music director of Polish radio. Ignacy Friedman's concerts were events of paramount musical importance. Of course, the hall was sold out. His name had long since become synonymous with the most appropriate interpretation of Chopin. Friedman didn't just play. Chopin lives in Friedman's every musical phrase. The nervousness and dynamic surprises in his performance are a direct consequence of the full identification of similar demands of the soul by both musicians, wrote music critic Józef Marx. There are also critical reviews, such as the one by Cezary Jelenta in the Courier Poranny from 1916, where he mentioned, "He doesn't captivate, he doesn't move. It's a great playing, but not in the greatest style. The great ones should always provoke controversies." Until 1939, Ignacy Friedman performed in almost all European countries, both
obu Amerykach,
Americas,
Azji,
Asia,
Afryce,
Africa,
Nowej Zelandii
New
i
Zealand,
Australii.
and Australia.
Większość
He
czasu
spent most
spędzał
of
w
his
podróży,
time traveling,
około 9
about 9 months a
miesięcy w
year.
roku.
He
Żartował.
joked,
Gdyby było
if it
odwrotnie,
were the other way
grał
around,
prawdopodobnie
I would
znacznie
probably
gorzej.
play much worse.
W
In
1939
he considered moving to the United States, hoping for immigration. But in the face of managers who disregarded him and the lack of teaching positions there, he abandoned the idea. He received an offer to represent the Steinway Company. As he said, he received an offer to be in Class C. In the Class A, there were 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝐃𝐙 𝐀𝐿, which ensured them having their own Steinway piano, which was transported to their concerts, along with the care of a tuner and royalties. Class B included 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, 𝗏𝗏, Rachmaninoff, and Olga Samarow, which meant providing any Steinway piano for concerts, tuner, care, and salary. And in Class C, there were 𝗏𝐃𝐙, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, Landowska, and Friedman, which ensured them the delivery of any Steinway piano for concerts and the care of any tuner.
Jak grał Ignacy Friedman?
How did Ignacy Friedman play? Chopin's works can be listened to multiple times in Friedman's interpretation. His Chopin is pure, unadulterated, poetic, and non-mechanical, as we hear him today, wrote composer and critic Joseph Marx. Friedman's playing sounds like free improvisation, the extraordinary flexibility of rhythm and sensitive feeling of cantilena. All this lies at the foundation of Friedman's Chopin. Listeners clearly rise to rare emotional experiences, wrote an Australian critic after one of the concerts. He also had a gift for directly expressing expression, which was emphasized by his numerous admirers. Music critic 𝗍𝗏 𝐃𝐙 recalled, Friedman dealt with details, which resulted from his desire for in-depth analysis of works, but those details never affected the continuity of form building. He also did not like excessive sentimentality. In mazurkas, he cared very much about the proper rhythm and emphasized harmonic changes. When asked how to understand the style of mazurkas, he said, well, so I tell you how I feel. There are elements in them derived from Polish dances danced by peasants. But those peasants in Chopin are always aristocrats. He did not honor unedited scores that allowed for deviating from the source of the composer's intentions. Music critic Albert Todd, comparing Friedman's playing with Arthur Schnabel's one, wrote, in favor of the superiority of Friedman's playing speaks the fact that he refrains from using the keyboard as an end in itself, not a means. Rachmaninoff recalled that Friedman's interpretations of Chopin's works are characterized by respect for the text. However, despite this, he does not approach traditionally shaped phrases routinely. He subordinated pedalization to increasing the sound effect, not just leading legato in the sense of combining sounds. His wide repertoire was emphasized, including works from all epochs, and his volume could fill 12 concerts. In a given concert season, he prepared a 2-hour program. His concerts usually lasted 2 hours, and he often performed 5 additional pieces as encores. For example, he could perform Chopin's Concerto in Minor one evening, the next day Concerto in G minor by Saint-Saëns, and the entire cycle of preludes by Chopin, Scriabin, and Szymanowski on the following morning on the radio, and yet one critic lamented that he could have played another of Szymanowski's sonatas. During his 40-year piano activity, Ignacy Friedman performed about 2,800 concerts. An important distinction for Friedman was probably his participation in 1927 in Vienna as the only pianist in a festival organized on the occasion of the 100th anniversary of Ludwig van Beethoven's death, during which he performed piano works and trios of this composer with Bronisław Huberman and Pablo Casals. And the ensemble was called the Trio of All Time. He was also involved in editing works as an editor, trying to reach the first editions of composers' works. He also fulfilled himself creatively as a composer, being the author of 85 opuses. He was also engaged in pedagogy until his last days. His students included Bruce Hungerford, Karol Klein, Ignacy Friedman, and Wanda Kosakowa. Interestingly, his student Hungerford was the musical father of Olga Samarow, who in turn was a teacher of William Kapell. After Ignacy Friedman's death, in the obituary for one of the Australian newspapers, Paderewski's words were quoted. Friedman, as an excellent and dedicated pianist, was the best ambassador of Polish culture in the world. I would like to thank you for your attention. And unfortunately, due to technical reasons, we will not be able to listen to Chopin's Polonaise in A-flat major performed by Friedman. Thank you for your attention.